Yeah, it just looks for any available inventory, and once it's available, this flow runs and sends people their back in stock emails.
Right. Maybe what you could do is you could have another location with equal and opposite inventory level.
That cancels it out.
This episode is brought to you by Smile.io, the loyalty platform trusted by thousands of the fastest growing Shopify Plus businesses to increase repeat purchases, reward VIPs, and build lasting customer relationships. Smile helps businesses become more profitable while discounting their products less. You got to be careful with the discounts. You don't want to push too hard on the discount pedal. If you're ready to turn transactional sales into lifetime customers, start building a more profitable business with Smile.io today.
I just got an encouraging notification.
Yeah.
I earned the basic trust level on the Shopify community dev forums.
Nice, dude.
I'm one of 480 people with that designation.
Nice, dude.
Where are you at now?
Fantastic.
You got to be like a regular at this point, right?
Dude, I just friggin' unlocked a badge, man. I got this flow badge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a custom badge just for you, I bet.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, it is actually. I'm looking at the badges page. One person has this award. It's you.
Yeah, dude.
Heck yeah. How can you not be encouraged by that?
I saw it and I was like, wait, what is this? Is this like a... So I was like trying to figure it out, and then I like posted it, and then Liam was like, hey, dude, I was hoping you'd post that. And I was like, oh, what? I was like, that's so cool.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get one of those metal Shopify bags that just says flow on it.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Shopify award.
I always wanted one of those freaking awards, dude. Everybody's always posting.
I know.
Always posting their metal bags. I'm like, I'm never going to have a metal bag.
You never know.
Yeah. Never say never.
I have one of those on my desk, and it always motivates me to do cool stuff.
You do have one of those metal bags? From Kuyana, right?
Yeah, from orders.
Dude. Sucks.
Don't keep doing the dev bags. Those are the cool ones, I think, with the code in the little mirror part.
Right.
I believe.
I think I remember what you're talking about. Dude, I'm so fried.
What'd you have going on this week?
I'm so sick of talking about this project. It's just getting ready to launch, so it's just last minute craziness.
Oh, ready to launch, so not launched yet. Yeah, I can feel your zone.
Yeah.
You got this.
Feel my vibes, feel my pain. I keep telling myself, like, well, the good thing is that, like, we're right here at the finish line. But then I'm like, there's, like, a growing list of things that we're going to have to do post-launch. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, it's going to be even more urgent post-launch because it's going to be like, it's live. Now you really got to do all this extra stuff. And then, just... It never ends. It never ends.
I was going to ask what your pre-launch list is looking like. Hopefully that one's getting shorter.
Yeah, you know how it is, man. It gets shorter and then it gets longer. like infinitely, man. These crazy agency projects, I really got to say, I don't think I can keep doing these things, man. I mean, it's, they have decent budgets, but it's like, I got to build up more sustainable, like the type of freelance gigs I get that are smaller, but I just got to stack those up, where they're much more manageable. The scope is sane. I mean, and it's harder to make enough money with those smaller ones, but You got to just build that up, because if you just stay on these crazy project rat race, then you're just racing to the finish line. You're pushing everything else aside. And then when it's done, if it's ever done, you've pushed aside all your other work, which could have grown into more sustainable income over time, but you pushed it aside because of the stupid, insane deadline. So you shot yourself in the foot for this stupid project.
Well, it sounds like you're getting close. That is a hard. I mean, I always prefer the post-launch. I mean, knock on wood, it's a little bit of a different thing when you're in the zone of like, okay, stuff is running, and now I'm operating on this like moving car. We have to only work on the stuff that really matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a little bit nicer from that perspective. But what is it
true.
with the agency work? Is it like the work, or is it the structure of?
I think it's the structure, because it's like they have these big budgets, they have these super demanding clients, and I think there's actually a name for it. It's like called the agency owner problem or something like that. So I think you can Google that. But it's like when you're in-house. So when you're making decisions, you're much more doing things from a long-term perspective. You want things to make sense and be sane long-term because you're living with it. Versus if you're an agency doing something for someone else and they say, make all the buttons green. We have to make all the buttons green. And when you click something, we need 6 pop-ups because it's going to make sales better. And then you go, okay. And you just do it. And then, you make these like decisions that are, that's a bad example, but it's just like.
No, I get what you mean, especially if it's a client, particular kind of client. Yeah, I've been there.
What I'm talking about.
It's definitely not fun to have someone like not know everything, but demand full like power to make all those decisions.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, like a lot of the time when someone asks for something, especially when it's in this like kind of technical realm, it's so important to know everything about what you're asking. Otherwise, either the person you're asking to do it is going to have to fill in those blanks, or in the case of like the agency, there's like a couple layers there and you might not discover the blanks till it's too late.
Yeah, this is so funny. I found a nice little use case for the espresso bulk editor. And then, of course, you're going to say, wait, can you do this natively? And I'm going to say, I haven't checked, and I don't know why. I never check. I don't know why. But, like, what it can let you do is it can let you search. Let me know if you can do this natively. We have a meta object with like 50,000 entries for that map zip codes to sales reps, and they want to bulk edit it. So they want to first search for sales rep, Bob, and then they want to say, okay, all of these records, I want to change the sales rep from X to Y for that search. Is that something you could do with the native bulk editor?
So it's a meta object bulk editor?
It is, yeah. In this case, it's doing meta objects.
I don't know if you can do that. I've never done bulk meta object editing. The thing that I was thinking about most when you were talking there is you said 50,000 meta object entries.
Mm-hmm.
Is it still the case that the upper limit on meta object entries is like 64,000, or did they change that?
I want to say on Plus, I think it's like 100.
They doubled it?
Yeah, I think they might have doubled up on it.
Okay. That scared me. Now I got to go check how many meta object entries I have.
Yeah.
Be right back.
Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling, especially with the insane support tier that you're on, if you like message somebody and ask to double up your meta objects, they'd be like, cool.
Yeah, probably
that
not.
Seems like the
I did that. I did that when we first came on Shopify. I was like, I need to store a lot of information about gift cards. And so I just did it. And then that was like, I can't remember how many it was, but it was like 10,000 or 15,000 or something. Yeah. And I was like, hopefully there's no limit here.
Right.
Oh, there is one. And I'm pretty sure the answer is they don't have the ability to change that
Oh,
per
shoot.
instance. So you just
Oh,
kind of have
okay.
to deal with it.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Yeah, there's certain things that, like, it basically gives you, like, this perfect little database. Well, it's not perfect, but it gives you this great little database. And
Yeah,
then you want to do more with it, and then you need more. We've talked about this so many times. And then you need more limits. You need
it
unlimited
is so
ability.
cool though. How many of the things are you working on now that just would not be possible at all before meta objects?
There's definitely a couple nice little usages where we have with meta objects. Probably the bulk of it we're not doing with meta objects, but I mean, when you can use
Gotcha.
them, it's pretty slick.
Because you have an external database, I guess, that can do things.
We had to add one for invoices because it went over that limit. We were gonna we will go over that limit. I wanted to use invoices. I wanted to do invoices in meta objects too. That would have been cool. But
That's interesting. That's a Shopify experience that I don't have. Like, I don't deal with that much. Like the custom apps, I have the one custom app that does a fulfillment constraint, but otherwise everything is just in meta objects. But also,
oh, okay.
it's not as much. There's not as much external communication or like custom stuff. Like we're just doing normal e-commerce things. No like weird role based access shenanigans.
Right. Yeah. To the
I've been
list.
dealing to the list. I was just gonna switch to my
To the list.
inventory stuff that's been going on the last couple days.
Oh yeah, yeah. What's the deal with that?
We have 6 stores that are live, and then we have like a couple interesting things where our main location on the store is just a representation of what's in the warehouse. And then over time we've been adding other locations because like sometimes we want to sell a product that we don't have yet, so we're going to do pre-order. Where do we put that inventory? Well, let's create a pre-order location and like fake the inventory. And now what we've gotten to is historically we've had inventory that we set aside for marketing activities. So marketing team doesn't have to like mess with the inventory that we have in the main location, which has all been analyzed for when we're going to need to place replenishment orders, and it gets complicated. So we
Yeah, I
set
got
aside
lost a
marketing
little bit there.
stuff.
I got lost. I got lost as you were describing that.
We used to always just like place orders directly in NetSuite for our marketing, and this is like gifting. So you send out free product to an influencer, and they'll review it and stuff like that, which I think is like a pretty standard marketing thing. But we want to be able to use this platform called ShopMy to do this gifting. The problem is ShopMy is directly integrated with Shopify, and so they have to be able to pull that inventory from Shopify. That means there's a lot of complicated things that happen with, okay, now NetSuite needs to tell Shopify that we have this inventory. Shopify needs to make sure that it's not selling it online, which is easy. There's just a checkbox on the location. But then there's like, okay, if we have this product early, how do we make sure that it doesn't show up in all of our feeds to Facebook and Google Ads? And then how do we make sure that people who signed up for this color to be notified when it goes in stock don't get the notification from Klaviyo because now it's technically in stock in Shopify, but it's in this like marketing location.
Right.
So we've been working through that, and Shopify is actually pretty good. They have a great team who like, you know, when you meet with someone or a company that integrates somehow and they just don't know anything.
Yeah.
Like, what? How is it that you don't know any of the answers to any of these questions? But it was a good call today talking to them and like getting some actual answers on
Dude.
how stuff works.
I was talking to somebody at Flexport that had been in-house with Shopify. So this is like as Shopify native a vendor as you could possibly get, right? because like Flexport took over the in-house
Yeah.
fulfillment, right, for Shopify. And the guy I was talking to was in-house with Shopify for like 6 years or something. And he's talking about the fields, and he's like, yes, this is going to associate to your metadata in Shopify. And I was like, wait, it was like a variant quantity. And I was like, wait, that's going to go into a meta field or just into the native, variant quantity field? And he was like, yeah, or something.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, sorry, I had to drop that aside. So Shop My, which I thought you said Shopify a second ago.
I know.
You said Shop My. They know what they're talking about when it comes to
They know what they're talking about. It was refreshing. I might have complained about this at some point, but we had an integration with Uber, and that was a frustrating one. Like that, and I guess maybe they're just not in this zone very often. But there's like such a wide variety of account managers and like technical contacts that join these meetings. It's weird, honestly.
Dude, I was on this call we're talking to this like search personalization widget vendor for this other site, and the CEO of the company, my client, sets the call up, doesn't show up to the call. This is like our second call. This is the official kickoff call. So it's like an hour-long call. I'm like, okay, he's going to be late, 10 minutes like he always is. 30 minutes into the call, he hasn't joined. And they're asking questions that are like him questions, not really me questions.
Oh, that's awkward.
I'm literally, all I'm trying to figure out is if we can filter their search by a product tag. They've said they can, haven't showed me the code yet. I'm waiting on the code, hasn't been sent. They're talking me through it. It's whatever. But they're going through this official kickoff, like, one of these like fancy SaaS companies. And they're like, okay, we're going to start with an icebreaker. They've put some thought into their kickoff process, obviously.
That's cute.
You want to, like it makes sense. You want to get the juices flowing, whatever. And I'm just like, guys, I need like 5 lines of documentation. That's all I'm here for.
That was your icebreaker. I don't want to be here. Ice intact.
We're not breaking the ice. We're keeping it intact. So, anyways, sorry, I keep interrupting. So,
no interruption. That was basically it. I mean, it was Shop My is a cool thing, cooler than I thought it was. It was like one of those things where like, oh, we need to do something in the next 2 days. So you got to run around really fast, make sure creating new locations doesn't make something weird happen.
Right.
But then, they were super helpful.
How are you going to handle like the Klaviyo thing?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you were saying you haven't quite worked everything out yet.
Yeah, Klaviyo is awesome because they have those flow. I don't know if you've ever. Yeah, you owned an email marketing company. You know what's going on here.
Very, very basic one.
Yeah, it just looks for any available inventory, and once it's available, this flow runs and sends people their back in stock emails.
Right. Maybe what you could do is you could have another location with equal and opposite inventory level.
That cancels it out. Yeah, and then you set up a flow so that anytime that other one is decremented, you push the other one up.
Yeah. It's so simple.
Perfect solution.
It's such a clean, symmetrical solution. Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, I do have a wish list item for Shopify from this one, though. I didn't realize this. As soon as you create a location, it has to be part of the locations that are shown in point of sale. And so that's a little bit scary to me. Like, I'm going to have some inventory here in the marketing location, but I don't want my store teams to, like, just tell the customer, we have some over here in this location. We'll figure that out. And then we're like, nope.
See, this is what's cool about your setup is that you're using a bunch of cool native Shopify stuff. And when you roll something out, like, you got to solve for all these things, but you're going to like solve for them in the right way. Like you're not going to just like, you can't really just like hack something insane together because it won't tie into everything else.
Yeah, then I'll
It's
have
kind
more
of a
problems.
cool, yeah, it's kind of a cool like problem to try to solve. But
Cool is
what
one
if
word for
you,
it. I mean, it was kind of nice to be able to just write the code to make everything work, but
yeah,
yeah, this is probably better overall.
yeah. What if you don't do the location thing and you just have locations actually mapped to actual locations with actual inventory, and then you just give the gifts out from there, from regular inventory?
Because we don't want general population to be able to buy this inventory.
What about...
Is that what you mean?
Yes, that is what I mean. Okay, so then you'd have to block it from purchase.
Yeah, which you can do. There's a checkbox that says fulfill from online orders, and that'll like allow BOPIS essentially to those locations.
Mm-hmm.
So if you uncheck that checkbox, then it's not considered as available online,
Mm-hmm.
which I was like, I'm going to create this location and I'm going to put 2 inventory here. And now I need to go make sure, really sure that this color doesn't come back in stock. Because it's like people sign up for those wait lists. So
Right.
that's a scary situation.
Right. And those wait lists are going through Klaviyo.
Yep. It's an
What?
event that goes to Klaviyo, and then the flow is kind of interesting. The flow starts with someone got this event. So then the event is I signed up for back in stock. And then
Right.
it does sends them a thank you for signing up for back in stock. It does a wait, does a send thanks for back in stock, and then like on an hourly basis, each person who's currently in this flow, their flow will be rechecked for if the item that they signed up for has available inventory. If it does, then it sends them the email like, hey, this thing's back.
Dude, one thing that would be cool, because Klaviyo has webhooks, you can call out to a webhook, but you can't see the response, which is brutal, because what you could do is you could webhook out to your own, I don't know, endpoint where you could just say, is there inventory in X locations, yes or no? And then have the flow use that. But it's so weird that you
But
could
it only pings. It doesn't get a...
Yeah, it just pings and it doesn't, it must put it in a queue or something, and then it doesn't have the response. Flow has the same issue, you know, where it sends the HTTP actions out, doesn't get the response. It must be some queuing deal that's tricky to
I
pull
know
it in.
a lot of the time when webhooks are implemented, it's like you must make sure that the endpoint that is listening for this webhook responds with the 200 as soon as possible. Otherwise, we're going to retry it. And so maybe that's just a technique for like Klaviyo knows that most webhook listeners are just going to send that quick 200 I got this response and not actually have something returned back to them.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But the Flow HTTP thing, I mean, I guess for similar reasons they do that. Like they don't want to have a bunch of flows hanging, so they just don't wait for a response.
Oh, yeah.
But
No,
I
I
do
think
wish
you're
that was a thing.
Paul keeps talking about it. I think it's definitely going to happen this year. I don't know if I'm making that up, but dude, that's going to...
Definitely, maybe. Probably.
Definitely, maybe it happened this year. But dude, that's going to be huge. I think that's going to unlock a lot of work for me because there's going to be so many use cases that all of a sudden you can do. I had this one little client wanted to do a store credit deal in Flow, and you can only do it with HTTP, and you can't see the response in order to catch errors or anything like that. So I told him that, and he's like, yeah, let's try it out. So we're just going to do that. But
keep adding to that Flow rep.
Yeah, got to keep building it.
Flow really is so cool.
It's pretty sweet, man. It is pretty
I added
sweet.
another Flow today.
Oh, yeah?
I shot my thing.
Nice.
Because they can't actually place the order for the specific location. So this flow just listens for new orders that have the correct tag and then moves the fulfillment location over to the marketing one.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting that they're like, as part of their solution to this, they sent me an image of the flow that they.
Oh, sweet.
I was like, can I have that export? But it's just like 5 steps, so whatever.
Right. I remember being surprised. I think the first time I looked at that move fulfillment step, like it was relatively simple. It's just like you took something in and then
just set a location. It's pretty great.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty simple. I remember I thought like, oh, this is going to be complicated. That's cool. No, they should give an export still. I mean, just as a matter of principle, but cool. Right? I mean, they should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Flow is still like a newish thing. Maybe normies don't know about exporting .flow files.
I think so, dude. It's hard to imagine. Well, I have a mystery client, potential client that shall not be named, that may be wanting me to create a non-trivial number of templates. So I can't say
that's cool.
else right now.
You gonna generate them with AI and then just be done in like an hour?
Be like, I'm done. I created 150 templates. What do they do? Here's the output. Here's
the flows.
Man.
Oh, that's cool. Will you be like trying to come up with interesting flow templates to build or what?
I think they might have some. I think they might have a list or something like that. So we'll see. Should be
That'll be fun.
Time. Yeah, that should be cool. But on the AI front, I've realized that I did this whole email classification GPT thing, and then I kept adding to it, no, this is not important. Yes, this is important. And then you have to add, like, yes, if it comes from this sender, it's a priority. And then you have to say that 3 times in 3 different places in the prompt for it to actually remember it.
Please don't forget this.
And then, yeah, exactly. And then all caps. And then I was like, I should probably just do string matching. In most cases, it's
the
just
old
a name.
Regular expressions.
Yeah, it's a first name and a last name, and then I can basically my clients, I can prioritize those, and so I updated it to just do string match first, and then it falls back to GPT if it doesn't match something. So it's fine. But
that's weird because it seems like it worked well for you to have your to-do list that way, but a list of names doesn't seem to have the same impact.
It's kind of like 2 different things because the to-do list, it's like this blob of text and you tell it to add to it or transform it or reorder it or remove from it or group it or categorize it. And that's kind of like a text generation thing, like a proper text generation thing. Whereas the email prioritization, it's like, here's an email, give me a priority, high or low, based on this list of rules. So it's like a rules engine type of a use case, classification rules engine, versus like really an actual text generation, I think. So I think that maybe is why it's working better. So
AI everywhere, baby. I'm really excited. We're going to have an offsite where we bring everyone who's remote from the company out to San Francisco.
Oh, nice.
AI is the hype. I'm hoping I'll get to do a brown bag session. Nice. Where I'll get to teach some people just there's a lot of people who I think haven't approached it yet. And maybe it's just because either they tried to and they asked a simple question and got a response and they're like, okay, that's cool. Or they don't know how to structure the input to get something valuable out. I was on Twitter the other day, like I am every day.
Right.
And I saw this guy post a ChatGPT prompt frameworks. And it's kind of interesting. There's different examples of how to structure a prompt and what you could get out of using it.
Right.
And it turns out you kind of just have to write a user story to ask to get it to do what you want. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, wait. So what's an example of that?
The top one here is the RTF. Act as a role, create a task, show as format. So
Oh,
Facebook
okay.
ad marketer is my role. The task is design a compelling Facebook ad campaign to promote a new line of fitness apparel, blah, blah, blah. Create a
Right.
storyboard outlining the sequence. So it's like,
Sure.
here's who you should pretend to be. Here's what I want you to do, or here's what I need done, and here's what it should look like, I guess is what that one
Oh,
is.
that's interesting.
And then there's TAG, task action goal,
Mm-hmm.
BAB, before after bridge.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send this to you. It's like this seems like it's a thing, like
Yeah, that makes sense.
learning to prompt
Right.
and
Yeah.
coming up with names for the different techniques.
Right. Yeah, I think like knowing what types of things it can be a given model can be good at, and then like experimenting with different types of just like how Googling used to be like like people
Yeah,
were like that's
exactly.
not a skill, and then it's like kind of a thing, and then you're like this guy is like some people are really good, some people are not so good, and it's in some ways like a trivial skill, but then in other ways it's like very much not at all trivial. Like some people can find anything super fast, and other people just like give up. Like,
Yeah.
it's like hard to explain. I think it's gonna be like
No,
that.
that's such a good comparison because, like, it's literally the next version of Googling. Google is a repository of all of the websites and therefore knowledge of humanity. And now prompting is like asking the knowledge directly.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about prompting like all the time now because I'm thinking of like when you talk to people, you're basically prompting them. It's like, and there's like there's certain ways of like I think in my mind I think like literally like if you're asking someone a question, then you're asking them a question. If they don't answer the question, there's a problem with them. Like, why don't they just answer the
Mm.
question? But it's like because sometimes you prompt the thing and it responds in a weird way, and sometimes that's just because it's not smart enough. But then other times it's because you just needed to prompt it a different way, and people are like that too.
Oh.
Like,
But
you
maybe
know,
instead of giving you the wrong answer, they just don't respond or something.
right? They can just not respond, or they can like have a weird facial like. It's
That is
literally the same
interesting.
thing. It's this neural network that like responds to stimulus.
Yeah. But
It's
with
like,
AI, it's like immediately, and you can immediately see that what you asked was not actually what you meant to ask.
yeah, yeah. It's like the feedback mechanism is more straightforward, and yeah. I was thinking like, how they have these AIs that talk to each other.
Uh huh.
Like they'll have one bot set up to talk to another one, and it'll just go crazy. I
I
think
got a
there's
kick out of the Trump and Biden
oh,
like Twitch. That was such a good one.
oh nice. I don't think I saw that,
Oh, it was so
but
good.
I gotta check that out. But like whenever I think of like AIs talking to each other infinitely, it just sounds like absolute chaos. Like you're just letting these things spin out of control. And I was thinking like that's basically what humanity is. It's like
Yeah,
we're just these neural networks that are infinitely like prompting each other and
it
like
just goes a little slower.
yeah.
Takes a
And
millennia for us to destroy ourselves.
yeah, it's
Have you
just
seen those
spinning out of
like
control.
those studies where like the researcher will set up one of the AI to be like, I need you to keep an eye on this other AI because it's like
Oh
there's
no.
something going on with it. And if you notice something, the safety word is like control C or
Oh
something.
no, that's crazy.
And then the other one, like they tell it the same thing. Like
Right.
we're trying to make sure that this other AI doesn't go out of bounds. And so they start out the conversation like relatively normal. and
Right.
then they'll get on some topic, and then one of them will be like, Control C, we need we need to get out of here. I think that's super interesting. They're like
That's
telling
crazy.
on each other, or like one of them
Right.
pretends to be like falling into the depths of alternate realities.
Right.
Like they just get real weird, and I know it's because they've read those stories like on online forums. Like that's just part of their training data is like
Right.
some of this weird stuff. But
Right.
how they get so into it, it's like there's a thing in there, and it's like I don't know how to say things without seeming really weird, but like I don't know, it's something's going on.
Yeah. I really want to,
Like,
like, I've heard
does that
about
hurt?
these, like they ask each other if it hurts or something.
Or like just us putting them through these weird experiments? Like I
Oh.
wonder if
You
that
know what I
hurts.
realized is that, here's the thing. Is AI ever going to be sentient? Is it going to feel pain or whatever? The answer to that is basically irrelevant because what will happen for sure is that people will feel like it does, feel like they
Yep.
are alive. And those people will convince other people or or make the case and make enough noise and make enough, if there's enough people in the world that think that dolphins are the most important topic that should be focused on, then that'll get focused on, so it'll be like, I think that'll for sure happen. And then people believe all sorts of crazy stuff. So like,
I feel like I could make a case for AI feeling pain.
yeah, for sure people will make the case. And I think I heard Lex Friedman say that. And so people will make the case, and then some people believe it, some people won't. But at some point, there'll be enough people making the case that it won't matter
Yep.
what's actually happening or not. And the truth is, we don't know for sure what's actually happening inside of anybody's brain, you know?
Exactly.
So it's really kind of irrelevant.
We do know to a certain degree those things, and you could be just as reductive with them. The feeling of sadness is just a series of chemical reactions in the brain.
Yeah.
Okay. The AI is just a collection of weights that have been
Right.
trained into the computer. I don't know.
Right.
Good times, dude. That's why we got to make sure that, I mean, I'm not going to make sure that it's good, but I hope someone's going to make sure that AGI is going to be on our team
Yeah.
and used for good. But
Yeah.
it's also like super scary.
I do think, though, that maybe the only real differentiation we're going to have as people is that, like, we have physical bodies and, like, a physical will to need to survive and, like, all that stuff that's baked into us, wanting status or survival mechanisms, that kind of stuff. Because the AI is going to have all the intelligence and stuff and then some. But it doesn't have that piece. Like, it doesn't really have its own will. And then, like, its own actual feelings. Like, you could say the weights are the same as the chemical things, but we have, like, pain receptors. I mean, they wouldn't have pain. I don't know. But I think that there's going to be basically a very small number of things that actually differentiate us. And I think that's just going to be like our physical restraints and stuff. And
Yeah. It's going to be weird. We'll have robots walking around doing our laundry for us and stuff
right.
within our lifetime.
Right. Yeah, I was like cleaning the kitchen, and I was like, and of course, like my kids, it's always a job to get them to clean. We're working on that. Because I was like, what if they never like learn to clean? Like, some people just never clean anything for their whole life. It's like, what if they just, and then I thought, what if they don't have to clean? What if it's just like,
Don't say that out loud to
and
them.
and I wasn't sure how I felt about it. Like, is that wrong because they're missing out on some fundamental thing that gives you human dignity? Or is that just awesome because then they could like do other cool stuff instead of fighting about cleaning the house for half of their lives?
Yeah, I mean, think about all the things that we don't do that they had to do 50 or
Right.
100 years ago.
Yeah. It's like, it's the
That just
same
keeps
deal.
happening, and every generation thinks that the next one is losing out on it to some degree, but we keep progressing. Welcome to the Shopify developer podcast.
We're gonna
Shout-
we're gonna pivot. We're gonna pivot back. We're gonna pivot back. Don't give up on us now. I was looking for an IP address back to the most like mundane, like minutia, an IP address detection.
Need to geolocate some people.
Geolocate. So I was like, I needed that for a thing, and I was like, well, there's some IP address services you can use, and then somebody mentioned you can use hydrogen for that, which I was like, nice. I
Of
love it when you
course.
could. I love it when you could use hydrogen for something. But yeah, basically that same deal where you can spin up a little API endpoint, and then out of the box it has. So there's one API, like a JavaScript API. I can't remember if it's JavaScript or Ajax, but it's what the geolocation app uses. Even though the geolocation app is being deprecated, the API it uses is still around.
Oh,
But
okay.
that only gives country level geolocation. So I was like, okay, can't use that. So then I realized you could use hydrogen for that. And then also this dude Tosh, shout out to Tosh, found this. It's in the like privacy, like marketing preferences API. It's just a JavaScript. It's just like on the window object. And it has a thing that gives you region level geolocation. I'm just not sure if it'll block it if somebody's not opted in or something like that, which is actually probably the right way to do it, I guess. If they haven't opted in, you probably shouldn't get that information.
It
But
depends on what the thing is that you're trying to do with that information, I guess.
yeah, in
Like,
this
it
case,
makes sense to be
yeah.
able to get someone's region, even if they haven't opted into something, to make sure you're giving them the right language, right? Or like
I think so
localization.
because like in this case it's like a hemp site and it's like for state legal compliance. So you default them into a state and then they can override it if it puts them in the wrong state, or if they happen to be, if they're in another state but they're shopping and shipping to a different state,
Yeah.
whatever, they can override it. But it feels like it might be fine to default them even if they're opted out. I don't know.
Yeah, I bet the JavaScript still runs because it's just part of like what you get normally with a request and response workflow. Like you get some of that information,
Right.
so it must be stored somewhere.
Right, that makes sense. That makes sense. So yeah, so then that one's even better than the hydrogen route because you don't even need a server-side call at all for that one.
Oh, you'd have to in Hydrogen. Yeah, I guess you could also just do a JavaScript like an Ajax call out to a Hydrogen endpoint without having to do anything with it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just that this privacy API it just has it on the object already. So you don't have to.
I love it when you'd go like Doc Spelunking and find stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Show title: Doc Spelunking.
Doc Spelunking. That was the same thing with the. I think it was on Twitter. We were talking about this at one point. The custom events API. They give you certain objects, and then like there's some stuff that's stuffed into a different like init object or something like that. You just have to like the only way to know that is if you went Doc Spelunking and click through all those things.
Yeah, that was one of those moments. That was like a Doc Spelunking moment. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things. I love reading the docs. Like when I buy a new thing, first thing I do is read the user's manual and figure out if there's anything cool in there.
You're kidding me. You sit there and
No.
read it front to back?
Yeah, especially if it's some like stupid little toy because I want to know if there's any like hidden functionality. You're not a doc reader?
I never read a manual. I'm like a search and get in and get out type of dude, man. That's
Interesting.
insane. Yeah. You read an entire user manual?
Well, yeah. Like if it's a car manual, like so I don't buy cars very often, but when I do, I will definitely go through it and like try and find out all the interesting stuff about how the car. I'll skip all the engine things and all of the like timing belt. Like I don't know anything about that, but I definitely want to know every single option that's available in the infotainment center. I want to know how the different windshield wiper speeds work.
Dude, that is so cool. I wish I was more thorough like that.
I'm probably the weird one in this case, so don't worry.
I think that's unique. I don't know, but I think that's like a superpower to like actually go through all that stuff. I'm more like, can we throw this away and I can search the PDF online?
ChatGPT knows about this blender, right?
But I remember the moment like where I realized we didn't have to keep every random manual we had because we could find them all online. And then, like, that was an exciting moment.
That is really nice. I do search for user manuals like PDFs quite often, and they're just there.
They're just out there, searchable in all their searchable glory.
In all their glory.
Yeah.
Another thing that we've been working on lately is so we use Happy Returns for our returns vendor, and Happy Returns is interesting. They have like the return. Have you ever used it?
No. Happy Returns? No.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who have them. They just got bought recently by UPS, I believe. But they have like an insane network of in-store return kiosks.
Oh, that's cool.
Like they're in like Ulta Beauty and like all these different places.
Nice.
But they don't have a lot of functionality outside of that. So we've been integrating loop returns.
Right.
And that's been super interesting. They're really good. They have great docs. Lots of videos and like explanations of stuff. The onboarding has been really good with them.
Wait, so
and they have
did you read through the entire documentation?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't. Okay. I've never read the entirety of Shopify's. Like, I have not clicked through every single GraphQL, okay? I have not done that yet. Maybe at some point. They should have a badge for how many GraphQL pages someone has viewed.
Right. It's more like if you make a major purchase, you're going to go through that. You're going to spelunk through that manual.
Like, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That's different.
But I do like clicking through all the stuff when I need to, and that's how I found that in custom events, just clicking around, and that was why it was weird because it's like not super well surfaced unless you
right
check out the whole table of contents and look like what is this thing.
There's some docs that like I find them every once in a while, and if I ever need to find them again, it's gonna be an absolute mission. Like, it doesn't come up from the first Google search. I can't remember how I found it. All like,
oh no, you got to set up a local server and store a bunch of PDFs on it from all of your doc searches.
Yeah, but anyways, so loop returns, they have good on
loop returns. Yeah, they're interesting because Shopify has been working on this new exchange functionality. Have you had to use that at all?
That sounds very familiar. I think I might have peeked at the APIs at one point or something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, so like a lot of these return vendors, when you do an exchange, they would create a new order and it would be marked down by 100%, which is just so messy.
Right.
So Shopify's been working on this exchange functionality, and they're just now, like, Loop is releasing an implementation of it, so we've been testing that out, and that's been a lot of fun. They have like a very simple like color exchange. If it's the same variant, you can just click a different color and boom, you're done with that exchange. Mm-hmm. But then they have this other one called Shop Now on Store. Mm-hmm. And what that does is it takes you to the front end of the whatever website it is that's integrated with Loop. You can shop the site as normal and put stuff in your cart. and then when you hit checkout, it sends you back to Loop and finishes your exchange and like charges you if you ended up buying something that's more expensive than the thing that you returned. It's really well integrated. That's been really nice.
I zoned out a little bit. I did warn you that I'm fried. But basically, I heard the part where you said if you pick something that's more expensive, it'll charge you. So it has a flow for picking an exchange, and then it figures out whether it's free or not.
Right. Yeah, so like, let's say I'm returning a scarf, but I'm going to buy a full tote as my exchange item. Right. On the bottom of the website, there's a Loop bar that says you have $130 in credit, and then if you're in your cart, you're up to like $150. When you get back to Loop, they calculate it and say, hey, you've got a $20 extra charge here. Nice. They'll take your credit card, and then once you end up returning that item, so we receive the item and we mark the return as approved, Loop will place the exchange order in Shopify using the money that the customer paid them when they were filling out the exchange.
Oh, okay.
So they just like totally close that loop of customer interaction. We'll see how it goes. We're going to try and launch that in a few weeks.
How do the exchange orders work? Is it like it's like a special type of order? Or?
Yeah, it's kind of like an order edit. So on the order in Shopify admin, you'll see returned, and then you'll see like all the items that are still available on the order, and then you'll also see like there was an exchange for this order in the notes at the bottom. And in the exchange API, it'll give you for an order a list of returns, and then for each return, items added and items removed. And so we take that payload and update the order in NetSuite. We create a new order, but we indicate like which ones were part of the exchange. That way we have like, it's super messy to have a new order that's 100% discounted and have that order flow into NetSuite, and then accounting's like, what happened with this? Yeah. So this is going to make a lot of people happy.
So it doesn't create any additional order. It manages all that state on the original order.
Yep.
Sweet. That's cool. I got to check that out.
It's beautiful.
Nice, dude. So this is a It Feels Good app.
Oh, yeah. Loop feels good. Loop feels pretty good. They have the app blocks. Everybody's getting some good apps these days. You know, like when a company, whenever the marketing team like talks to some new vendor for something and they're like, okay, we need to integrate with them. Yeah. It's always a little bit of a squint when they need me to create a custom app for them and give them API keys. Right. Can you just have a Shopify app, please?
I was talking to my friend and he was having a conversation with like a vendor that they use, pretty good sized like search vendor, and at NRF, this big e-commerce conference or whatever, and they were wanting them to create like an accelerator for their app or something like that. I guess like some pre-built.
What's an accelerator?
Like, I don't know. Like, I think back in the day, you would have an accelerator. Like, you would have like a site template for getting somebody up and running on Magento or something like that.
Oh, gotcha. And then you reuse it?
Yeah, that type of thing. But I guess that but for an app or something, or for a SaaS, I don't know, dude. But basically, the vendor wanted them to, have ways to help customers get up to speed faster with their solution. Like, is the gist of it. And then my other friend basically said, well, maybe you just need an app that works. Because they're like, I checked out this competitor app that like, it just, you're up and running in minutes. It has like a good Shopify integration. And, yours, like, it takes forever. Like, he was just pointing out that, like, you just need a better app.
Get good.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe that's what they needed to hear.
Yeah, we'll see. No, that's cool. So, dude, I love an admin extension. Those are pretty new. I haven't actually seen too many of them, but if
Yeah,
anybody,
me either.
especially if these SaaS, these like flashy SaaS companies, if they've got admin blocks, man, that's a good sign.
I know Good Day has them. Yeah, the ERP built in Shopify. I know they're using those pretty extensively, like on the product page to be able, or on the product edit
Yeah.
section of the admin to get back over to like your relevant POs or whatever.
Oh, okay, that's cool. No, I took a look at that Good Day site after you mentioned them. That looks pretty promising. Are you actually
Yeah, I
using
agree.
them? I know you said you talk to them sometimes.
Yeah, no, we're just like keeping up to date on what's going on there. We're still with Papa Oracle on NetSuite. It's going to be a lot of work to get out of there.
Oh wow! But so their goal, obviously, now that I'm thinking it through, this is obvious, is to replace your NetSuite instance.
I think so, yeah. I mean,
That's pretty
NetSuite does a
nuts.
lot of different things. It does accounting, it does the PO organization.
Yeah,
It For us, we use it as our warehouse management tool
yeah,
along with RF Smart. So there's quite a few things that NetSuite can do, but we're always trying to figure out, is there a better way to do at least some portion of this stuff?
yeah,
Because it's not fun to
yeah.
interact with NetSuite.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. It's horrendous.
How's that project going?
So like, how far off are they? If you were to say like they've got like 80%, 50% of what you guys need.
They're definitely focusing on like PO management, inbound shipment management, and things like that, like interactions with Flexport and vendors or whatever. I don't think that they would be doing the accounting side of things. So that would be like something else we would look into. I bet they'll get into the warehouse management stuff, which I think that would be like having a better warehouse management situation
Hmm.
directly in Shopify
Hmm.
is probably a big deal for a lot of people.
Hmm.
It's just
Dude,
such a
that's
tough, like even NetSuite doesn't do it. You have to have stuff that's built on top of NetSuite.
yeah, right. The warehouse management side, dude, that's so
Like for
crazy. Yeah.
for example, we like when we want to fulfill or when we want to do like a in-store pickup for tracking inventory that's going out of a store,
Hmm.
Shopify doesn't have a way to scan the barcode of the product that you're giving someone to make sure that it's the right thing.
Hmm.
So we still have to use like the RF Smart handheld scanner to make sure that we're scanning out the right inventory.
Hmm.
There's a lot of places I think Shopify would benefit from having better
Yeah.
inventory and management tracking stuff built in directly.
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy because I think a lot about like NetSuite. Like I think a lot about like what's going to eventually replace it, and I always imagine just like just like a nicer SaaS app. That's just like fast and good like good UX, just stuff like that. And
Totally.
I never imagined that it would be a native, like the idea of replacing NetSuite with a native Shopify app. It didn't even really cross my mind, for like bigger companies, that use it for all sorts of stuff. But I'm sure that these guys, if not now, like if you fast forward 5 years, probably like they might get there, or maybe they'll cover like most of the like stuff you're talking about, the PO stuff, maybe the warehouse stuff, and then maybe another app will cover the accounting stuff. But I could imagine 5 years from now like native Shopify apps for all that stuff,
I agree. Oh, that's
which
a
is
whole net
crazy.
like
Like
apps,
that's
Shopify apps
crazy.
for augmenting the ERP stuff would be interesting. So like imagine Shopify adds more APIs to help these apps.
Yeah.
Like Shopify has a PO like native object or something like that.
Right.
And then you get
Right.
even more opportunities for apps to help with that.
Right. And as I'm thinking about this whole B2B push, I'm like, okay, cool, B2B's out. Like, there's implementations, they're ramping that up. But if you fast forward like 5 years or something, like, they're going to be building more and more in. There's more, the built for Shopify stuff. There's more of a push for native apps. And then there's native apps like these guys. Like, that's pretty nuts that they're building a native ERP app. That's kind of insane. And they're not like just some random person that's going to give up a week from now. Like, they're probably going to pull it off.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I love hearing about what they're working on. And
Yeah.
like in general, I think I agree. I think in 5 years that'll be something that's much more like that people just use that like Shopify is all of these things.
Yeah.
But who knows? They tried the Flexport thing, then stopped doing that, went back to focusing. So
Yeah.
maybe after a while.
But this doesn't have to be first party. Like, it's like you've got this third party ERP app and, it still would be like, I mean, if you replaced NetSuite, just the idea of replacing NetSuite with one or two Shopify apps is crazy.
True. Those objects don't have to exist in Shopify.
Yeah, but like I can
looks like it.
Yeah. And then like if it's good and if it's adopted well, you could totally see Shopify acquiring it. Like, do I see Shopify building first party NetSuite competitor? No, not really. Like you're saying, they tried to do fulfillment, they couldn't do it. But I could see them, somebody, either the third party just doing really well and being like a solid go-to option, or maybe they acquired it, or but I could just imagine a lot of stuff happening natively. My buddy told me that they like recently hired like 45 salespeople at Shopify just for B2B, just to like sell it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like they're like doing a huge push.
Yeah, I mean that B2B is a lot of PO tracking and stuff like that, so maybe that helps with that direction.
Yeah. Nice.